What up, everybody? Welcome to Legacy TV and the Convo podcast. And you guys know, lately I've been able to bring you guys some of the best coaches around, and it's been an absolute honor. And I tell each one of my guests when they come on, these special individuals that are bringing you these amazing athletes and are training these amazing athletes, that these are the people behind the scenes that don't sometimes get the credit that I feel like they deserve. And today I have the honor of bringing one of the guys that I feel like, damn, he has been training one of my favorite fighters for a long time, and he's trained a lot of other great fighters, and right now training some fighters that I'm following and fans of. So man, it's an honor. Today we got Coach Anthony Gonzalez. We got him on the show today. What's going on, brother? It's an honor. Man? Thank you for being here, bro.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Okay, so bro, let's get right into the convo, man. Where are you coming from? Actually, I'm sure you were just teaching somebody or training some.
Just a normal day training.
Give me a normal day for you, like like as being one of the best coaches. Like what's like an average day like today, for example? Who did you train?
So typically my day starts like pretty early. I wake up 4:30.
4:30.
Yeah, every morning. Just like this is how I've been since I was a kid. Like start my day early, whether it's I'm working out or I have a client or something like that. But like I just don't train professional athletes too. I train like everyday normal people who want to learn, and I think that kind of helps develop my game a lot more.
Do a lot of privates and stuff like that.
Yeah, just to mix it up a little bit. I did for a time just only stay with pro fighters, and I felt like I was getting stagnant because I think even teaching the basics to other individuals, it kind of gives me that sight of being like, all right, what do I need to fix?
Right.
Whereas like high level athletes, there isn't necessarily always too much to fix. And maybe if my eye isn't that keen, I can't correct it.
Right. So do you feel like basically like with someone like that's a pro, it's more just kind of sharpening their blade because they're already trained, and you just got to like get more repetition and stuff and can't teach as much technical? Whereas a beginners and stuff, you get what do you get more enjoyment out of as far as
both? But I think it kind of it depends on the individual too. Right. Like some fighters, like sometimes you need to just like break them apart. Like you can see what they have built, but maybe you have to take a bunch of shit away from them in order to rebuild them and be like, yo, I could see what that rough cut diamond is. But we got to chip away some things that you don't even need or that you've been doing that puts you into a detriment.
Right. So it's not just the UFC fighters.
No.
And so you train multiple people. So that's something I didn't know. I expected you had your hands full already. But that's pretty cool to know. Yeah. All right. So let's get into your story, bro, because I'd like to know myself a lot more about you. Yeah. Did you grow up out here in Orange County?
Yeah. I was born and raised in South Orange County. Like San Clemente, Dana Point area. Went to high school out here. Grew up playing sports my entire life, like high level baseball, soccer, and then just a lot of my training outside of that. Like I would do boxing, I would do karate, I would do anything physical I possibly could, and activities too. And then anytime I played sports, I always played up in age, so I was always like the smaller guy, but I had a chip on my shoulder, so next thing you knew, if somebody said something, it would kick me off. I'm like, all right, throw hands first, ask questions later type of deal. But
did you grow up like in the same area? Were you like a good kid growing up?
Yeah, I was for the most part like.
Did you get in trouble? None of that?
No, not really. Good. Like I stayed out of trouble.
I always ask everybody this, because like we, especially in Orange County, it could go either way.
Like my dad's side of the family definitely grew up on the rougher side of things. My dad kind of kept me away from it, but I would see what they were doing and be like, I'm like, you kind of dip your toe in the pool a little bit and you're like, maybe it's not for me. And then my dad would just grab me by the collar too.
Right.
We're like, no, he was more the the smart one of
You
being
didn't
like,
have to bump your head too many times.
Yeah.
Thank God. You know,
Exactly.
I bump my head a lot, you know,
Yeah.
and then that's why I say Orange County's got like, you know, it's either this way or that way.
Yeah.
Like you got your good people and you got the people that mess up. Like,
Yeah.
So it is no in between. So playing sports and stuff, what was your introduction into martial arts?
Introduction, like when I was a kid, it was karate and boxing.
Karate
Yeah.
and boxing.
Yeah.
So you did,
But just did it like recreational.
at a good karate school or at one of the ones that
I wouldn't say it was bad, but like
I won't say they're bad.
yeah. But I felt like I was like, oh, I really enjoyed the contact of it. Like immediately my instructor there was like, all right, you're gonna be sparring, and then went into tournaments. And to be honest, it's kind of funny. My son asked me about it today. He's all, Dad, do you remember the trophy box in the garage that we found? I was like, yeah. He's like, how'd you get all those trophies? And then I was explaining to him, like, well, I started with karate, and then that was the big one. And he was like, oh, he's like, really? And he's like, that thing's almost as tall as me. I was like, yeah. And I was just kind of thinking, like reminiscing back on it. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm like, that's what I started with.
Yeah, you know, every martial. I just had Lloyd Irvin on the show recently. He said every martial art was good for what it was created for.
Yeah.
And with karate, you learn a lot of great kicks, I believe.
Yeah.
And a lot of like good movement. There's a lot of little things from karate that you see now in MMA.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
So although it might not be your only foundation, it's a good thing to kind of start with.
Yeah, it's something.
It's something.
It's something, and like you said, you take what you get from it, implement it, and then whatever else, just kind of throw it away.
And you said you also were doing boxing as well?
Yeah, just a little recreational. Just like in San Juan, we had like a YMCA that they would have boxing classes and stuff there. And
so this is where the love for
little violence. I enjoyed it, and like out of all my cousins too, even the ones that were like a couple years older than me, I don't know. I just always had that little like glimmer in my eye when something would happen. I was like, nice, let's go, type of deal.
Did you get in a lot of fights?
Oh yeah,
growing up.
Oh yeah, yeah. Some I lost too, which is fine, but you got to learn.
You got to do it. Yeah. We all have had our L's, and those who say that they haven't are liars.
Yeah.
But okay, so now you're doing karate. You're doing as you graduate high school. Are you competing in anything? What?
Yeah. So when I finished with high school, did a little bit of college and stuff like that, and then I was like, you know what? What am I gonna do with this college degree? Am I gonna really push forward and work in an office, or am I gonna like what do I do? Am I gonna be happy with my life through here? So I kind of took a little bit of a break, and then just honestly started to go down south to San Diego and spar with guys down there, and go down to like PB Muay Thai, and then even spent some time at Rain with Mark Munoz and stuff like that, and took some jiu-jitsu classes.
So in college is when you started doing
but like MMA? Early, like just basically right out of high school.
Okay,
yeah, so it was like
you started early.
Yeah.
So you trained jiu-jitsu as well?
Yeah.
And who did you train jiu-jitsu with?
I would just take the class, or my first jiu-jitsu class was with James Wilkes.
James Wilkes.
Yeah, Lightning MMA.
Lightning Wilkes, yeah. And shout out to him. Shout out to Mike Guyman as well.
Yeah.
Him and they had a school together for a while.
Down there in Lake Forest.
OGs, yeah. Shout out to them. So you already straight out of high school got straight away into.
Yeah, I just had seen some guys, and then my cousin was actually going to James's school, and he dragged me along one day. I was like, oh damn, this is dope. I was like, especially I got strangled out by him, and I was like, I'm like, this ain't gonna happen again. Like, and that's the bug that bites you when you like, and you have that itch for it, and it's just competitive nature too, and it's not. I don't know. What I felt like it was like when kids wrestle or when people grapple or anything like that. I always thought it was like, but then all of a sudden you just see all the technique behind it and everything like that. I'm like, how did you do that?
Yeah.
And just started asking questions, and I'm like, how did you do that? Was it because I did this, or was it more you? or more meat.
Bro, there's nothing like that first night when you go and get choked out for the first time, and you're going home. What the hell happened to me?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, and then you think you're tough, and like these guys that are younger and old guys, and everybody's messing you up. You're like, damn, like it's a complete ego check.
Oh, 100%,
dude.
Because I used to be like, all right, standing up, definitely can handle myself. Like that wasn't gonna be an issue. I'm like, I know I can take a punch. I know I can hit back. I'm like, I can outlast anybody. Like my cardio's good. I'm all, but as soon as some motherfucker took me on the ground, I was like, God damn it.
It's cool to see it though. Like I think it humbles you, and then you kind of want to learn it. You wanna,
100%.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, it was good because I used to think I was like, I used to fight all the time, and because I had been in jail and riots and stuff, and I thought but not after that first time. Like, oh hell no, man! I didn't even want to tell.
The school teacher got me.
It was crazy, but yeah, I mean, I think that's where like either some people get that bug right away from that, and then some people get like humbled and they never want to do that again, right? But like people like me and you, like that first initial time like of training, I'm sure for a lot of you guys that are into MMA and jiu-jitsu, is that first initial day is nothing like it. I even tell the new students, I was like, oh, when I see a brand new guy, I was like, another baptism taking place. No disrespect to the religion or anything, but like martial arts wise, like it's a rebirth for them because they get to open their eyes, like, oh my God, somebody could do this to me. Yeah, dude. Yeah.
With it.
Okay, so you start training and then. Initially it's just for fun. Yeah,
initially it's just for fun, and then going down to San Diego, like PB Muay Thai, what was the other Victory and stuff like that. Training with those guys down there and sparring a lot of like some of their top guys that they had there. They're like, "Oh, do you want to be like our sparring partner for this camp?" I'm like, "Camps? What are you talking about, camps?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, it's fight camps. We're doing this." And I was like, all right. Next thing you know, I'm like sparring with Diego Sanchez and a couple guys down there.
The Nightmare?
Yeah.
Shout out to Diego Sanchez.
Yeah, so
I talked to him not too long ago, back and forth on Instagram.
Yeah, and it was like, and then the funny story on that one, like years had passed by, and then I had started like a big gap had passed. And we hadn't seen each other or talked to each other in a long time. And then we were in Houston for one of Tony's fights, and he's like, he's like, we used to spar each other, huh? I was like, we did. So it was like a cool story, but yeah, it's just like fun being around those guys and seeing what they did and stuff like that. And I had
was it fun to train with Diego?
Oh, 100%.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, 100%. He was just one of those guys where it was like, especially at that time in his career, he was just like a firecracker. He was just like
trying to KO
trying to KO people, like, and it was for me, it was fun because I like that danger. That feel of danger is like, I think what drew me to MMA too is like, all right, not only can I get like knocked out, I can get taken down, pounded out, like somebody could choke me out. I'm like, what do I got to do to survive?
Yeah.
Type of deal.
Yeah, that especially in the beginning, that hunger to learn and be able to beat people, and then you go from being the nail to being the hammer, and that's like the best feeling.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, I'm getting better.
Yeah. So just doing that, and then going to compete like with kickboxing, a little bit of Muay Thai and stuff like that. And I had no real intentions of making it like a career type of deal, but then through everything, I kind of started finding like my own style, and other people that had seen it, and it was pretty early on. Other people that had seen it, like training partners and stuff like that, would have been like, hey, how'd you do this? What are you doing when you do that? And then like it made me think more. I'm like, and then as I was coaching them or teaching them how to do those type of things, I'm like, I was teaching them how to do it my way, like with my attributes and my body style and things like that. And I could tell it was like confusing to them because I didn't understand them. Like, well, everybody's built a little bit different. Not everybody can do the exact same thing. And how can I make it, give them a little bit of piece of me, but make it themselves, you know?
Right. How to give them your game, but also develop them with their style and their body type. Yeah, that's the whole fun part. Right?
So as I started to do that, and then going to corner them and travel with them, and kind of, I was like,
Who was your first initial like fighter that you started?
I had a couple guys in Bellator. I had this guy Paul Giamatti, and then Nick Mahogdam.
Nick Magadam.
Magadam.
Shout out to what up, Nick?
Yeah.
Shout out to my boy Nick,
Yeah.
Carlson Gracie black belt.
Yeah.
That's my boy. I used to train with him when we were really young.
And then one of my other good friends too, that we just used to always like train together, and like me and him would go back and forth. We actually went to middle school together. Was Raja Shippen. He's out in Australia right now,
That
but
name's really familiar.
he's if you watch some of his videos,
I'm sure I've seen him fight.
Stylistically, like gangster, like pretty to watch.
Yeah.
Like
that
it's
name,
so much
that
fun.
name is very, very familiar. It's just so many fighters these days, right? It's just,
And he's been around because he's my age too now. And then he was around like pretty early on too. Trained down that at Rain too, so you might have seen him there. He was a coach down there for a long time.
I the name ring bells for sure.
So yeah, it's just like bounced around, went from that, and I was like, I had no intention of even like really training fighters. And then once guys were starting to do more MMA stuff too, I was like, you know what, I need to take a couple MMA fights so I know what that feeling is like. So I did that.
Oh, you jumped in there too?
Yeah, jumped in there too.
Just to get to
and then so I was like, all right.
Respect, bro.
Yeah.
Respect. You didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
You don't have... Look, respect for jumping in there and doing it. But
Yeah.
I feel like as long as you're sparring and you know what it feels like, I feel like you can definitely be an amazing coach. You don't have to... Some of the best coaches have never been world champions or great fighters. So... respect to you just for jumping in there to get the feel, like, you know, which a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
And for you, it was obvious from how you're telling me is people took to you already from the beginning as being a good coach, and you were already a good striker in the gym. So being a good sparring partner, you also learn how to hold pads. Who would you say you got your style from, like, the most, as far as if you were going to give like love to like one coach as far as giving you your style, like who do you think you molded yourself after the most? It's hard to say.
Yeah, it's hard to say because I didn't really necessarily have a coach. So it was like a lot of film that I watched, a lot of studying that I did, like boxers that I loved too, like how their footwork would be. Like would watch old school videos of guys like switching stances, because even prior to one of my fights, I'd broken my hand, so I switched my stance. I was like, all right, I can do this too. I'm like, I'm still gonna fight.
Right.
I'm like, my hand will be good by the time the fight comes around, but until that, what if it breaks in the fight? Yeah. And then I'm gonna stand this way. So, but doing that, and then just even traveling from gyms, like you said, is just picking up little things that I was like, that looks like a smart move to do.
Right.
All now. Let me figure out like what are its deficiencies.
Right.
Like where am I going to get hit from it? Where am I like
analyze.
Analyze everything. Like my brain just works in percentages, so I just go like, all right, this is going to give me the highest percentage to attack, like to get hit. And then I just break it down from there.
Right. Well, it's clear, bro. Like this was what you were meant to do, and you had already, like, because you know people don't think like that. Only a real coach thinks like that, and now analyzes fighting like that. So you already had the mentality for it. Now, as you start coaching these guys, start going to the cage. You know, I've cornered and been by the cage. That adrenaline rush of being riding with your student and being there by the cage, I'm sure immediately you were hooked. You were like, man, this is dope. Like, I want to help people like this. I want to be a part of this.
Yeah, I think with coaching too, I don't know if I wanted to have like the attention or anything like that. Even like something like this is awkward for me.
Right.
Like I've said no to I don't know how many podcasts where it's just, and then I'm like, you know what, I got to do it every once in a while. It'll help me with my public speaking or anything that I need to do. But for me, I like watching other people succeed too, like accomplish their goals. And if it wasn't for fighters like doing it that well, I wouldn't be in the position that I am now either. I know it's like a mutual working relationship, so it's pretty dope. But yeah, being in that, getting that feeling of like seeing them, because I know what that winning feeling like is being in the cage, and then seeing them like have that feeling on a bigger stage, and then like to the next stage, say going from like LFA, and then next thing you know they're in the UFC, and then it's like their first time in the UFC. Even though I had other UFC fighters like compete, like I get to see them experience that for the first time too. Special. And I'm like, dude, I'm all
special. Yeah, it's special. It's beautiful. Yeah. Like that's what I'm saying. But and let me say this off the top. I really do appreciate you being here, bro. But you deserve to be, also spoken to. You're one of the best coaches in the game right now. In my opinion, you got some of the best fighters out there under your stable. You've trained some of the best. Why not let people know? Because you could touch somebody with your story. Somebody, you could be the reason somebody watches this and becomes one of the next world champion coaches. I feel like I have had a lot of real big coaches on the show lately. I feel like every one of you guys are so humble and don't want any credit. And it's amazing to see that, there's such humble individuals in the backgrounds helping people achieve your dreams, because those dreams will never be met if they don't have people like you in their corner, bro. So that's why I feel like, sometimes a lot of you guys don't get the recognition you deserve. And that's why one of my goals when I started this podcast was to have people like you on the show, because you are part of the reason that the fans are being entertained. You are the behind the scenes, all the hours that goes into them becoming as good as they get.
I appreciate that, man.
Respect. Okay, so let's get into one of your most famous fighters that you started working with is, I believe, and very popular, and one of my favorite fighters. And I was telling you off camera how I met him. There was Rain Training Center, which we talked about, which was in Lake Forest, and I used to be all up and down the street selling CDs. And one day I'm at the Chevron is like right by the 405 on the corner right there. Yeah, and I'm. I used to pull up in my car and I'm like, look over and I see Tony Ferguson. I'm like, oh man, and at the time, I had a CD called Black Belt Music, which is with me with the gi on, and so I approached. I'm like, yo, I do MMA and jiu-jitsu too, and man, Tony was so cool, bro. Yeah. I think he bought 2 of my CDs, nice. Gave me whatever cash he had on him. And immediately I was like, man, I got love for that dude. And so like, that's why I had to, ask you, like, how did the relationship start with Tony?
I think it was, he had just finished, he had just finished his fight with Michael Johnson, and he had broken his arm in that fight. So, and then he was looking to change camps and move down to Orange County from Oxnard to Ventura area.
This is a long time ago.
Yeah, real long time ago. This is the start of his run. So when he went on that big run, and so we did. He came into the gym. He came into a American gym in Costa Mesa. I was already there, and his management had sent him in there.
Shout out American Gym.
Yeah, still there.
Still there.
I'm still there.
Been around for a real long time.
Yeah, yeah. So then he comes in and I kind of recognize them, but he just comes in, like, is doing his own thing, and he was like, we were chopping it up or whatever, just having a little conversation, and he's like, I'm like, hey, anytime like you're in here, help yourself. You could tell he was kind of like, hey, is it okay if I use this? Real polite. I'm all, treat it like it's your home, like. You're fine.
Let me ask you, do you think he was kind of looking for, somewhere to find himself, like, at that time? Like,
I think so too. I think with any loss from a fighter, I'm like, he had come off of winning the Ultimate Fighter. I believe won his first fight in the UFC, and then that second fight, I'm like, you're getting thrown to a big dog. Like, Michael Johnson's no joke. And then obviously coming off like a break in that fight and still fighting that entire round.
Yeah.
Or the rest of that fight with a broken arm, slinging a half arm at him.
I remember that fight.
Yeah.
I'm pulling up his record right now, so we just have it handy. Go
and then
go
so
ahead.
he was moving in there, and then I was like, next time he came in, I held mitts for him. The following time we sparred.
So he didn't really have a coach then.
No.
He just came. He just,
Yeah.
You just happen to look over and there's
Yeah.
Tony Ferguson hanging
Yeah.
out in the gym, just kind of man. He's looking around kind of without saying.
And I knew his management too at that time. So we had a conversation, but I'm never the type to ask anybody or tell anybody to train with me. Like from then to now, like I'll never be like, hey, train with me. You should really train with me, or be like, it's always like a mutual thing. I'm like, hey, if you ever want to get some work in, we can. And two, well, if you have a coach, make sure it's appropriate. Ask them first. Like I don't like stepping on anybody's toes.
Yeah.
And it's like,
so this was around 2012. This was because we were talking about Michael Johnson.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I was like, damn, that's a long time. This is 12 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yeah,
Okay. So you start holding pads for him.
We spar, and that's where I got a taste of his like power. I was like, because we started to go at it, and I was like touching him here and there, and he just clips me with a big uppercut, and I was like, the bell rings, and he looks at me, he's like, you all right? I'm like, what do you mean, am I all right? He's like points, and I like turn and I look in the mirror, and I'm like bleeding from my nose, and I don't bleed from anything very easy. I was like, motherfucker. I was like, yeah, I'm good. And so we sparred another round, but then we started like this relationship and training together and working together, doing things and figuring things out and stuff like that. And we had a lot of time because he had to go back in for surgery to get his plate taken out. So it was enough time to start building this relationship and confidence in him, like working and doing figuring out his movements and figuring out his style and stuff like that. And then like working around his style and building that. Yeah, because it's funky.
It's different.
Yeah, it's different, but it works. Yeah. Like it works for him, and it kind of like my vision in him was like, all right, we could take all this, like just clean it up. Like I said, just clean up little things, and he's gonna be crispy. And the guy, like with 4-ounce gloves, he's dangerous.
Right.
So then at that time, it's like the run, and then all of a sudden win. Yeah,
you guys went on at that time. He after that he fights Mike Rio, Katsunori Kikono, Danny Castillo, Abel Trujillo, Gleison Tebow, Josh Thompson, Edson Barbosa, Rafael Dos Anjos, Lando Venata, Kevin Lee, Anthony Pettis, Donald Cerrone, all wins. Yeah. And you were with him through this whole run. How crazy of a streak was that to go through, bro? As a coach, like when you're going through this dude, and not only that, but Tony became Tony. Like he became like entertaining, and like people started to love him. And dude, take me through that run, bro.
I think it's a lot of highs, and it's like as a coach too. I think it goes for any fighter. Like you can, like, and you see it like that build up, because it's such a high stress, high like energy like situation anytime you go into camp, and you're always wanting to up it the next camp. And obviously I would say the first like 5 years, it was like major growth where you see these big boosts in things, and then all of a sudden it becomes incremental, and you're like, I'm not really growing right now type of deal. But
like plateauing.
Yeah, plateauing, but he's not. Like at a certain point, like other people are still trying to catch him. So that's why you see these guys go on this big run, and then all of a sudden it kind of like the people from the back start catching up, because they get to see everything that the leader's doing.
Right.
But with Tony, it was a blast. It was fucking wild a lot. It was like
fun guy to be around in camp.
It was like stressful, late nights.
Tell the fans one thing. All those like crazy, like I'm not saying crazy because it worked. Like the different workouts he does, like like it's all legit. Like, or sometimes does he play around for the camera?
No, I'm like
he's got to be messing with it. Sometimes
I would say some of them he's probably messing.
He's trolling sometimes.
But for the most part, that's who he is.
Yeah,
he is who he is. He doesn't.
I feel like he's like, if you get to know him off camera, I feel like he's probably a real funny dude. Like
he's funny. He's kind. He has a big heart.
Yeah.
It's just
from my interaction with him, I could tell he was a cool dude.
Yeah, and it's like I said, like he bought a CD off you.
2 of them.
Yeah,
man.
2 of them, and probably at the time he probably didn't have that much money. Like when he was when it was early rain days, like nobody as fighters were making money, like type of deal, and it's not like, and that's what he was doing it for. It was like, he's like, you know what, it's gonna come back to me. Like
dude.
he like, even to this day, anytime we train, he comes in, he brings me a Gatorade or like a fruit, like not a fruit drink, but like a hydration drink or something like that, and I'm like,
it still always bothers me that he never got to fight Khabib when it was time to fight Khabib. When he had I believe he had the interim belt.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be him and Khabib, right? And then I don't know if Tony got injured. I believe on the they both got injured. Yeah. Like it was.
I think the first one was Khabib hurt his knee, and
they both.
But it was like,
out, right?
it was kind of back and forth.
Don't you feel like at that time, I'm never take away from Tony, but like I feel like sometimes a guy is just it, you know. Like that's their time to really, really seize everything. I feel like at that time he was.
Yeah, because it was like in fighting too. It's a lot of, it's like timing, skill, and then luck. Like, and then that's it. It could be bad luck too.
But one thing I always thought about with Tony as in that prime shape that he was, like when he was getting ready to fight Khabib, like if Khabib would have took him down, the issue that I've never seen anybody have that Tony would have done was those elbows off the bottom. He would have never been comfortable with Tony on the bottom. No. You know what I mean? So that's why I was so always intrigued to see that fight, and it just didn't happen. And and
then the closest it ever did was T-Mobile, and we were in the back. Tony had just made weight, and like I'm seeing all the UFC staff like murmuring, and kind of all of a sudden you see, like, you could feel like a little panic. I'm like, me and another coach had just like sat Tony in the back, and he was back there, and I get a text on my phone, and it's one of the higher ups in the UFC, and they're like, "Hey, where are you?" And I'm like, motherfucker, I had this like weird feeling because we hadn't seen Khabib either. And normally like we see him and his crew walking into the signs were there. And then they come out and like I walk out, and like I'm all, what's happening type of deal. And they're like, well, we can't say anything yet. I'm like, of course you can't say anything. I'm like, let me guess, I'm all, fat head didn't make weight. And that's exactly what happened. Like, he pulled out of the fight because he couldn't make weight. They're like, well, they took him to the hospital. He was in really bad shape. I was like, I'm all, did they even give you a chance to go see him? And typically, like, what the UFC does is, if somebody's like tight on weight, like they'll send somebody to the room first. But Khabib and his people just were like, no, we're taking him to the hospital. And then I had another friend that earlier in the week was like, yeah, they were like, I had seen him in the sauna, and then they were like carrying him out. Type of deal. I was like, I'm also, to give that guy the credit of being like one of the greatest in the world, like arguably like talent wise, skill wise, like he was there, but at the same time you gotta look out how many times he missed weight, how many times he pulled out of fights, like and then it created his timing to be better and compete against like guys that shouldn't even have been there challenging for a title.
Right. Yeah. It worked out, and it
kind of fucked Tony.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. It really did. And I feel like that fight should have happened.
Yeah.
You know, but unfortunately, after that, Tony went on a little bit of some losses. But when you look at his record, bro, the one thing that people always talk about is the losses, but they don't talk about who he fought.
Yeah,
the guy has literally fought
killers.
Like, bro. Like, I don't even like looking at his record, because I think each one of those fights takes a little piece of you. Like, damn. Like, and when you look at Tony's record, he's been back to back to back to back fighting the best guys on the planet, always. And the guy never, he puts everything he's got, his heart and soul, leaves it out there. The guy fights to the death. Like, even though I feel like he's lost, his recent fights, I feel like I feel like, man, the guy fought the best of the best.
Yeah.
You can't take away nothing from that. Where do you, as far as Tony right now, are you still training with him?
Yeah, we had stopped training for a while, and then we always stayed in touch or anything like that. I'm like anything, it's you get to know these fighters like personally, like family life, things like that. Like he was at my wedding, like
friends. You get more than coach. And training partner.
Yeah. You get to know the inside outs of them, but sometimes it can get too close, and you kind of need a break from each other type of deal. And and I think even with anything, like I even tell other fighters, I'm like, hey, if I'm not giving you what you feel like you should need, like, don't just stick around because you're trying to be loyal. I'm gonna be loyal to yourself first, but let's have that conversation. And if we can't fix it, then go do what you need to do, type of deal. Or if it's just that you need to leave for a little bit, go get some other training, and then you come back and be like, hey, this is what I was thinking I needed to work on. Maybe we can work on this together, type of deal. That's fine. But with he and I, it was a break, and then anytime he fought or anything like that, it would be like, he's just a competitor. Whether it's like going in the batting cages, doing this, doing that, like he just likes to compete. Yeah, he wants to win. So for him to come back, and I think this upcoming fight that he has against Michael Chiesa is like a good matchup, and he gets to fight at 170, and it's like he doesn't have to cut down anymore, because as we get older, you just get a little bigger and heavier and stuff like that. But training with him recently, it's been fun. It's been fun, kind of like seeing him get back to kind of who he is, rather than seeing him kind of get pigeonholed, or not even pigeonholed, but get him put in a box, being like, you need to be a boxer, you need to be a Muay Thai fighter. It's like, no, be Tony Ferguson.
Right.
That's it.
Right. Yeah. We be who you always been. Who the fans love, and that's a great fight, Michael Chiesa. That's like an interesting style matchup. I'm excited to see that one. So you're in his corner for this one, and you're gonna be. That's awesome to hear, bro. Yeah. Like, respect to Tony, and I had to ask you about Tony, and like that's like one of my favorite fighters, and I just feel like that's a cool dude. It's on my interaction, and you happen to be training with him for a long time, bro. Blessings to his career, and I hope he comes back, and I hope he knows that a lot of people would want nothing more to see him be successful and win again like he used to. Yeah. So outside of Tony Ferguson, let's like kind of bring you more up to date now as far as newer fighters. I know you're working. I seen pictures. I was looking back. I was like, you've been working with Jalen Turner for a long time. Yeah, a real long time. Am I right? Yeah, he's making his mark right now.
Yeah. Too. So we're not working together anymore. But bringing him up or getting him from.
Well, you were a part of his journey.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah, so
I've seen a lot of pictures of you guys together and at the fights and stuff.
Yeah, so I got him like, I think he was after his Vicente Luque fight, and then the next like 6 fights we went on a 6-fight win streak, and then from there it was like you get into the top 10, and now the competition's here and there, and like I said, I'm like, when you hit a certain point, it's incremental growth type of deal, and sometimes you make too many adjustments in what you kind of feel like you need to add in, and you start losing perspective of who you are as a fighter and what got you to this position to begin with. And with fighting too, it's all about like having that ride, like that little bit of a wave to come into the next fight. Yeah. So, and then I think he still has like a solid career ahead of him. And
well, you were a part of his journey, and I like if you look at his style, I think a lot of people like him for striking. Yeah. And so you worked with him for a long time. Yeah. So he's
talent.
He's like up there in the top 10, I think. And
and he's like, and I've told him before, I'm like, once you're in that range too, I'm all, you have a career. Yeah. I'm all, now don't get complacent. Just do what you need to do to continue to get the chip away. Start chipping away. I'm all, the title will come and present itself. I'm all, and right now too, I'm like, some of those top guys, I'm like, you need like anybody, you need a little bit of time to figure out their game.
Right.
And then how do you nullify their game? It's not beat them at their game, it's nullify their game.
Right. Especially in mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
You got to work around
Yeah.
it.
I'm all like, you're not going to beat like some crazy Dagestani wrestler at wrestling. I'm like, it'd be nice.
Unless you're John Jones.
Yeah, unless you're John Jones.
Jeez, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
there's just some outliers.
Yeah.
Like, they're just like, I got it. But
that, for sure, bro. Okay, so, and then the Jalen, and then recently, who are you working with? I know you work with Cubs team. Cubs
yeah. So a lot of the Bloodline guys, like the guys that work out there, and then Dan Argueta. So he's a bantamweight.
He's been fighting a lot.
Yeah. So he's been.
I feel like I see that guy every week.
Real active for a big 35er. Like those weight. Yeah. He's just big old thick meat refrigerator.
He started wrestling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He looks like one of
so
those
wrestler
really
out of the Midwest, like just solid worker. I'm like, that's the one guy that, like, if he's in a room, I'm all, you see the other guys like keep up with his work, and he's like genuinely one of the best humans I've ever been around.
Yeah.
So it's like I'd give that kid anything, and he's just a good dude. Like, works hard.
You could see him evolving, which is pretty cool from fight to fight. And the reason why I say is because I've been watching. Because I see him all the time. I feel like, and then I've always been, big supporter of Cub, because Cub. Yeah. I trained with Cub a couple times back in the day. And then I seen you also working with Danny, right?
Yeah.
Danny.
Yeah. So this will be the first real full camp that I work with Danny, and then I'll be cornering him for his fight August 24th.
Yeah, they just announced it, and we just had the show. So if you guys haven't seen the show with Danny, refer back, which I think is pretty cool, because we just did that, and now we got you to come on as well. So as far as goals as a coach, like being a coach, I feel like there's the competitive side to it, and then there's the the wholesome family vibe at the gym side to it. As your goals as a coach, is it to keep training fighters and make a world champion at this point? Is that something that still I think drives you? Is something that you still have the hunger to do?
Yeah, I think. I mean, there was a point where I was kind of done with it, and then I was like, you know what, I want to give myself like a little bit of time, and I'm like, let me see if I can fall back in love with it again.
Yeah.
I'm all, let me train, let me do like my thing, kind of take a break, not even from like fully from fighters, but working with so many. And I just stepped back and I was like, you know what? I still love it. I'm like, I see how much these, like the guys that I do work with kind of not necessarily need me, but look at it as if like I can help them achieve their goals, and I don't want to let them down.
Right.
So I was like, and I think for any fighter, it is like you want to be a world champion. If you're doing it just for money, that's fine too.
The money helps.
Yeah, the money helps. and setting up whatever you want to do in the second part of your life.
Right.
But yeah, like at the end of the day, like that's kind of one of my first questions that I ask them. I'm like, hey, what's your goal here? Like, is it just to make money? Which is fine. Like that, like I'll help you do that too. But is it to be a world champion and get to that next step? And I'm like, do you believe you can be a world champion? Type of deal.
Right.
And a lot of the guys, I'm like, and you don't even have to answer me now. Like, think about it. Like where do you see your path going? And then we can start lining things up to where we can execute those plans or those little small goals, and then build into that big goal.
Right.
Type of deal. But
because it takes a lot of hard work, and dedication, and to be like, I'm sure from being around the sport that these guys that are at the top of the sport, they have to give their whole life to the training and to being. It's a 24/7 job, from the rest to the recovery to the training, everything counts.
Yeah.
And
I think with like even especially like the guys over at that train with Cub and stuff, like having him as a mentor, I think they get to see years of fighting and achievements, and kind of like seeing what the business side of things can sometimes happen to you, and being like, okay, that can happen to me too, but I'm still willing to go through it and keep pushing on, and hopefully bring Cub like a championship too.
Yeah.
And bring these guys. So it's like you see them more as like a unit than an individual too. Like as much as they are individuals, they push each other like as a group.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like Cubs had a really good manager. Shout out Kami.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, my brother Kami. And I feel like he bred a great environment, and Cub is breeding his own great environment. Yeah. And for like MMA, Cub is one of the most dopest fighters to watch. I think every fighter loves Cub Swanson. Yeah. Especially the fighters love Cub Swanson, because that is one of the most creative strikers, best strikers. Been in fighting like another guy that's fought the cream of the crop for so long, bro. Yeah. Respect to Cub, and you know what? When I was talking to Danny and Georgie Karakanian, who was on the show as well, is they like. Cub knows how to train smart and take care of his training partners, and he's got it dialed in. Yeah. And he's fighting soon, like next week or so.
Or was it 303?
303, yeah. I'm like super excited, man. I was trying to get him to come through. I know I'm gonna have him here one day.
Get him on after this win.
Hopefully when he's fighting for a title again. Just shout out to the whole Bloodline team, and respect for you starting to work with Danny. Danny's from Santa Ana. Yeah, I support a lot of anything people do from out here. Like whether it's music or whatever. If somebody out here is doing something, I'm gonna get behind it. And it's funny is Danny also started training with my boy Mike Tomaselli, who was one of Joe's black belts. Shout out to Tomaselli. So. That's great, bro, that you still have the passion to want to achieve goals, because that's what I feel like, life is so important. I keep telling my kids, what do you want to do with your life? Like me, I chose like crazy things to be good at, bro. Rap music. I'm Persian, and I chose to be a rapper and I'm from Santa Ana, But I did whatever I could, bro, to chase my dream, to be able to make a CD to sell it in the streets, and whatever I could to start doing jiu-jitsu and MMA and have my own school one day and teach and train, and like the goal, the hunger to be successful in something that's not easy to be successful is the greatest reward when it's achieved. So being like that Mickey to the Rocky when he's getting the championship, we all want that. We want that feeling. Yeah. So the hunger is still there, and respect, bro. That's dope to hear.
Yeah, it's fun playing a small part in it and just seeing them grow and seeing their happiness and stuff like that. And then it's because it's my life's work too.
Right.
And I'm giving them a piece of me on everything, and they get to show that to the world. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like when they win, you win, and ultimately, they're gonna be the one that's that reaps most of the rewards, but
which is fine with me.
But the thing about it that I always tell people that being a coach or being somebody that helps human beings, that's the ultimate reward. Yeah. To me, like I first realized that when I pulled the kid out of a pool and saved the kid that was drowning, and everybody was patting me on the back. Oh, you're a hero. Yeah. But like that feeling of helping someone and seeing somebody do well, that's the ultimate reward. Yeah. So that I know, brother, you've had like your share of amazing fighters over the years that you worked with, and I know like you're still very young, and like I'm sure you're gonna achieve whatever goal it is that you want to achieve, bro.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. As far as any other fighters working with, I want to just ask you, a couple normal questions, just for the fans and stuff like that. As far as MMA, give me your favorite fighter. Who did you like the most? Like who's your number one fighter all around mixed martial artist that you like to mold yourself if you were gonna be a style?
I don't even think it has to do with style. I think it was just like a person I enjoyed watching was Cain Velasquez. Cain. It was just like him, BJ Penn, BJ, I mean, like, we had nothing with those two. We had nothing in common, like no striking whatsoever. BJ had like good hands, good boxing. Got to spar him a few times and heavy hands, but yeah, just
BJ.
like, yeah, it was just even like the guys that I got to meet, like Anderson Silva. Trying to think.
If you had to pick one though, the GOAT, like
the GOAT,
the number one guy that you think like is the best. This is my favorite guy to watch. MMA.
Anderson,
yeah, Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
He had a hell of a reign, man.
Yeah,
I like that you brought up Kane too, because like I like that style of fighting that Kane had. Be honest with you, when Kane was around, like there was nobody like him.
No.
And like the way he used to just get in people's faces and always pressure forward and then mix in the boxing with the takedowns, like, dude, he was such an animal, bro. Did you?
It was like, to me, it was like it was like him bringing like Mexican style fight, like boxing into MMA, and nobody knew how to deal with it.
He was sick with it, bro. He was so
and being
fun.
that big,
and so agile and so much cardio. He was so fun to watch, bro. And shout out to him. And man, what a crazy situation he went through with his kid, bro, and at that school. I'm not gonna say exactly the details because I don't want to get us kicked off the video off YouTube. But everybody knows what happened to Cain Velasquez. If you guys don't know what happened to Cain Velasquez, go and look it up on YouTube. What happened to his daughter at that school. And man, bro, I was telling somebody recently. I have 3 children. I have 2 daughters, bro. I'd have been.
You would have done the same.
I'd have been in jail for life, bro. Like I don't blame him for what he did. Unbelievable that they let that dude out. Number one, I don't understand. Yeah. I don't understand how you could a POS like that back on the street.
Yeah.
Like there should not be back on the street, dude. Ever, in my opinion. You do that to a kid, bro. You should never. You're the scum of the scum. Yeah, and you should never be. You should get the worst beating you've ever had. I've seen, dude. What happens to these guys when they get caught in the system. Mm-hmm. I've seen it, bro, firsthand. Yeah. Oh my Lord. I hope that dude gets what he deserves, because man, which other father wouldn't have done what Kane did? Yeah. You tell me one. Yeah. You know, so they need to give that man an anger management class and let him go home. You know what I mean? Anger management. That's good.
But I'm happy to see him now kind of living his life.
Yeah, he was on the podcast recently.
Cornering other fighters and stuff like that. And it's like
free Cain Velasquez.
Every day.
Yeah, but dope, man. So I have to say, like, my favorites, I always kind of bring it up, is Nick Diaz. Nick, the OG. Okay. And he's gonna be fighting.
Yeah, he's on the same card.
He's on the 303 card.
No, the same card as Tony. So August 3rd. So he's fighting Vicente Luque. I thought, to be honest with you,
imagine the fight between those two.
Yeah. So it's gonna be good.
Wow. Yeah. So I didn't even think about that. Now when you say Tony's fighting at 170 and he's fighting, that's a very, very possible matchup eventually. And I think that would be a good fight for both of them.
I thought it was good. Excuse me. I thought it was going to be the fight that they were going to make. I'm like, you put both these guys on the card. I mean, the fans would have loved it.
Yeah.
Like,
bro, come on.
Type of deal.
Those two together.
But also, too, I'm like, I could see it happening if, like, a shuffle does happen or something like that crazy, where we go out there and like, I like all the Diaz guys, too. Like, all of them are cool. They're down to earth. They're down for their shit. Like, so.
Yeah, everybody. I mean, especially the MMA community. You gotta respect those dudes.
Just the people.
Yeah. We all real fighter. I always say real recognize real, and those, especially that family, those 2 brothers, man. They'd have been through the ringer. You gotta give them the respect. And man, that would be a cool fight, and I know Tony likes them too. Yeah, I know Tony deep down, like even if they fought, Tony likes the Diaz.
Like, all right, cool. It's gonna fight. Let's sign the contract. Let's compete.
Let's make some. Yeah, and they'll know that in the end they're both making a lot of money. Yeah. So like at the end of the day, that's what you guys are doing it for. And go make your bread. Yeah, bro. brother, as we get close to wrapping, again, I appreciate you coming and telling your story, bro. It's like really cool to find out about all the coaches in my area, because in Orange County, I feel like I was talking to Icy Mike, Kimbo Slice's old manager, and I was telling him, I was like, this is the Mecca, bro. He's like, he laughed. He's like, the Mecca, really? I'm like, come on, bro. Like, everybody's here now. A lot of big gyms here. A lot of the best coaches are out here. We are the Mecca. Orange County is slowly becoming the Mecca.
I feel like it started out that way too.
Right.
It started or just California in general. You had the boys up in Sacramento doing their thing. And then Orange County had this pocket.
Tito and Rob and all those guys. Punishment and Tank Abbott. Yeah, man, come on, man. We and then jiu-jitsu as well.
Yeah. Like all the Brazilians fucking flew their asses here and stayed here. And then they're like, this is New Brazil.
Now they're on every corner and at the beach.
Yep.
And you can catch an Acai Republic bowl near you. Shout out to all the Brazilian jiu-jitsu legends.
Brazilian syndicate.
Yeah, they did their thing, bro.
Yeah.
They spread they spread the seed everywhere, bro, which is cool, man. And I'm so blessed to be a part of it. I love the jiu-jitsu and the MMA community. I feel like we're blessed to be involved in the sport and the martial arts, and above the fighting and all that stuff, it really helps a lot of people. You know, just being able to go to a gym, it saved my life, took me out of all the bad things. And I'm sure you can attest, as being a coach, to not only coaching fighters, but what martial arts does for people outside of the fighting, and how much of a stress reliever it is, and how good it is for the soul, and makes you a better person above everything. Am I right, bro?
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely, bro. So right now, Coach Ant is just kind of working with a few selected fighters.
Yeah. And
teaching at American Gym. Do you actually teach like a class that people can go?
No, I don't teach classes. I just do one-on-one privates. I mean, the classes are like, I'll fill in if somebody's out, but more one-on-ones and stuff like that. I get more joy out of it because I can nitpick things and
really teach
them and kind of it's like I can take a beginner from knowing nothing, and then if they're with me for a month, I'm just like, look how much you've grown.
Respect.
Look the things that you couldn't do, now you can.
Respect.
That's type of deal.
So American Gym also has all kinds of other martial arts.
They do jiu-jitsu. They have jiu-jitsu classes, boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing.
Lots of legends walk through there.
Yeah. You'll see them all on the walls.
And again, like I said, I always give respect where respect is due. Real, recognized, real. American Gym has been around as a real long time. So if you guys are in Orange County, California, and you want to get your hands right, you want to get some good training, and there's on top of you, I'm sure there's other great coaches there.
Yeah, we got Soto Carras, former pro boxer, Alex Perez, WBC champ. Craig Wilkerson, he grew up down here in South Orange County or Fullerton area, lineage from CSW and
so you got a plethora of knowledge,
just a house full of knowledge.
Shout out American Gym, and you guys are located in Costa Mesa, California.
Correct. Yeah,
my boy. I know you don't do this. What up, everybody? Want to take a quick second out of the podcast just to give a shout out to our sponsor, the best criminal defense attorney I know. The last time I got in trouble, I needed somebody that was going to look into my case and actually fight for me and get me the best deal possible, and he did that. And I'll make sure that he does that for you. Make sure you shout me out if you guys reach out to him. They're the sponsor of the Convo. You know anybody, a family member, or yourself that make a mistake, you want somebody like him on your side. Arash, please let everybody know how they can get a hold of you.
Thank you. Arash Hashemi, 310-448-1529. Or HashemiLaw.com, HashemiLaw.com, or just Google #BetterCallHash. Remember that, BetterCallHash. You'll find me on every social media channel all over the internet. 310-448-1529.
You better call Hash. I appreciate you doing this. We've got to kind of tell your story now, and which I think is a great story, bro. Because I see you're striking in a lot of these fighters, and I like to do my research
Yeah.
and ask, how did these guys get to these points in their careers? And even though you don't want to take credit, I hope I gave you a little bit of flowers on my show today, brother.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
You deserve it. You are one of the dope coaches out here. Guys, if you need, look them up. American Gym, Costa Mesa. How do they get a hold of you on Instagram? I know you're on
just
Instagram.
Coach Ant.
Coach Ant on Instagram. And guys, another, in my eyes, first of all, the run that you guys had with Tony, you can't redo that. One of the best coaches in my area, American Gym, Coach Anthony Gonzalez on the Convo today. We appreciate you guys watching. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. My boy. Thank you,
brother.
I appreciate it.